In this episode of Latitudes, we visit the first public car museum in the Arab region and the largest and most complete collection of wildlife in the Arabian Peninsula. Then we travel back in time to a historic gold mining town from the 1850s. And finally, some unusual animal attractions in England, a falconry and a llama farm. The Royal Automobile Museum in Amman, Jordan, is the first public automotive museum in the Arab region. The museum took 2 years to complete and is situated on a hilltop of the newly constructed Al Hussein Park, west of Amman. More than 60 classic and vintage vehicles belonging to Jordan's late King Hussein, who had a well-known passion for cars, are on display. Standing in pristine condition, each vehicle tells a unique story along the timeline of the late King's life. The cars on display were used on official occasions, such as this one, used in the late King's wedding in 1960. His favourite vehicle was a 1968 Mercedes 300, in which the late King was riding when he survived a failed assassination attempt. As part of Jordan's Independence Day celebrations, King Abdullah inaugurated the Royal Car Museum at Al Hussein Park, featuring the personal automobile and motorcycle collection belonging to his late father. Some cars were gifts from other world leaders. For example, the 1956 Cadillac was a gift from former US President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And a Rolls-Royce was given by King Fahd of Saudi Arabia. One car which holds special memories is a 1961 Lincoln. This automobile was used for several royal weddings, including the reigning King Abdullah's coronation. A 1916 Cadillac with 8 cylinders and a maximum speed of 75 kilometers per hour is the oldest car in the museum. Several showrooms feature the cars and motorcycles. The oldest motorcycle in the museum is a model from 1909. This is an amphibious car used by the late King. King Hussein also had a passion for sports cars and participated in many rallies, both in Jordan and abroad. He drove one of the cars, originally a gift from the United Arab Emirates, in the Al Rahman Rally in 1994. Future plans for the Al Hussein Park include another museum, which will contain the awards and medals King Hussein received throughout his nearly 40-year reign. Whilst in the Middle East, let's visit Arabia's new wildlife centre. Located in the sandy outskirts of Sharjah, in the United Arab Emirates, the government-funded Arabia's Wildlife Centre is home to the world's largest collection of animals and birds indigenous to the Arabian Peninsula. More than 100,000 years ago, elephants, lions and rhinos roamed from the Red Sea to the Gulf, before climate changes made them extinct and turned the area into the arid peninsula. Today, this wildlife reserve is trying to prevent the various species native to the deserts of this oil-rich region from suffering their ancestors' fate. Many of the 45 or so species on display are on the verge of extinction. They include an Arabian leopard, one of the rarest animals in the world, as well as lizards, snakes, gazelles, rodents, foxes and baboons. This is the largest and most complete collection of wildlife in the Arabian Peninsula. Despite appearances, the desert is as rich an ecosystem as the rainforests of the Amazon and the Arctic tundra, and so it must be protected. Apart from the leopards, the Arabian Wildlife Centre houses Arabian oryxes, which were driven to near extinction in the 1960s, and houbara bustards, whose population was depleted by hunters. Other rare animals include wild cats and the rock hyrax, a tree-loving animal that looks like a cross between a rabbit and a beaver, but which is a distant relative of the elephant. The centre is completely air-conditioned, an advantage in a region where the temperature often soars to 45 degrees Celsius. Birds sing or build nests on trees planted beside an artificial stream inside a large, well-lit room where hyraxes nap on top of custom-made rocky outcrops. The reptiles and rodents are kept in glass-fronted cages, and since many desert animals are nocturnal, sections of the centre are kept dark during visiting hours, lighting up only when it's closed for the night. Whenever possible, creatures are let loose in large open enclosures filled with rocks, pools, scrubs or sand, depending on their natural habitat. Larger animals such as gazelles, ostriches, leopards and baboons are all located outside and can be seen from behind reinforced mirrored glass. The Arabian Wildlife Centre attracts over 100,000 visitors a year. Many visitors are students on field trips and parents eager to teach their children more about the heritage of a part of the world better known for its plentiful crude and not natural reserves. The Arabian Wildlife Centre is a wonderful educational and entertaining visit in Sharjah. Gold was discovered in Ballarat in 1851, and within 12 months it had become one of the most famous places in the world. It produced more gold than anywhere else. Thousands of fortune hunters flooded onto the Ballarat goldfields from all over the globe. Sovereign Hill is on the actual site of original alluvial leads, quartz mines and gold rush hysteria. And there's still gold down there. Discovering gold is what Sovereign Hill is all about. Every aspect of the gold rush story is covered. It includes the mining of alluvial golds from the sands and gravel of creek beds, the alluvial gold in buried streams, and the gold in quartz in nearby hills. Sovereign Hill represents with vivid detail not only the lifestyles of the gold pioneers, but the techniques they used to extract the precious metal. It starts with the Red Hill Gully diggings, typical of the Rush district, where diggers flocked in their thousands during the early 1850s to take their share of the surface alluvial gold. Later, as the easy pickings of the surface alluvial gold disappeared, diggers formed groups to work buried streams which needed heavier equipment to get at the gold. Vertical shafts were sunk to retrieve the deep alluvial gold deposited millennia before. With careful research, the mining machinery that became part of the Ballarat landscape has been reconstructed at Sovereign Hill. Windlasses, whips and puddling machines. The diggings represent a time when life and mining techniques were both primitive and hard. At Sovereign Hill, each of the many scenes create a vivid impression of life in the 1850s. But each of these scenes is comprised of many small details. It might be something like a window display, the size of an architectural moulding, even the wording on a sign. But each of these seemingly insignificant details is vital in creating a true representation of an 1850s scene.
Guinea, thank you, man.
Sovereign Hill's historians painstakingly ensure that not only is every scene a true representation of the 1850s, but that each detail within it is historically accurate. The historical research that goes into any one of the buildings can take up to 3 years and calls on resources not only in Victoria and the rest of Australia, but in Britain, the USA and China. It is this commitment to historical accuracy which makes Sovereign Hill truly a living museum. In much the same way as visitors are encouraged to interact with the craftsmen of Sovereign Hill, so they are free to participate in the recreation of everyday life. The line between education and entertainment is often fine, but when the boundaries are blurred, Sovereign Hill comes closest to achieving its goals. Costumes are a major factor in achieving the accuracy and detail Sovereign Hill strives for. Over 190 full-time staff are employed at Sovereign Hill, and almost every person has at least one costume or more, from the simple to the quite extravagant. As well, many more costumes are created each year for special events or annual occasions. Sovereign Hill boasts one of the few carriage makers in Victoria. Working from original drawings, the craftsmen have built many different types of coaches and restored others to their original condition. Visitors have the rare opportunity to see how it was done in the days when horse-drawn carriages were the only means of transport. Many of these vehicles are in daily use and can be seen and even ridden around Sovereign Hill. The Sovereign Quartz Mine provides visitors with a comprehensive picture of mining life as it developed beyond 1860, until the closure of the last Ballarat gold mine in 1916. This was the era of quartz mining. With the relatively easy pickings of alluvial gold exhausted, the precious metal had to be extracted from the shining white veins of quartz deep below. A 600-metre tunnel driven through the earth beneath the township provides visitors with an insight into the way in which mining techniques developed. Above ground, the infrastructure, which only large companies can afford, can be seen in virtually full working detail. Most of the equipment is totally original and painstakingly restored to provide an accurate picture of the past. Education comes in a very subtle, entertaining manner at Sovereign Hill. The unique Sovereign Hill education program has been an enormous success, with pupils spending 2 to 3 days using a curriculum based on the 1850s and textbooks based on the original. Using the Sovereign Hill Education Service, more than 16,000 pupils every year get a taste of life during the 1850s. As Ballarat grew, so did the bureaucracy. The government camp has been established with a slightly different purpose in mind. Though the exteriors are faithful to the original buildings of the 1857 government camp, they are now providing inexpensive accommodation and a unique holiday adventure to a variety of visitors. A falconry in the heart of Shakespeare country is as much a part of history as a modern tourist attraction.
She likes to do that on her first flight, so again she gets an extra tidbit for jumping up.
Visitors are told that hunting birds were popular in medieval England, both for sport and the more practical purpose of hunting food. The Heart of England falconry in Stratford-upon-Avon in England is based on the site of William Shakespeare's mother Mary Arden's family home.
Come on, you're a good boy. That's it.
The falconry was started in 1985 and now has more than 100,000 visitors each year who handle and even go hunting with the hawks, owls and falcons. This falconry won a prestigious British Business Award. Hunting parties to Warwickshire's wooded countryside are also available. The hunting parties catch rabbits, pheasants and partridge. Courses are offered in basic hawk handling, flying and management. Also in England is another unusual animal tourist attraction, llamas. The llama is usually found on the slopes of the Andes Mountains, but is steadily gaining an unlikely foothold on English hillsides. Thanks to a small number of enthusiasts, the South American relation to the camel is making a growing impact on British agriculture, crafts and tourism. The green rolling hills of England are a familiar and unchanging landscape. But visitors are often baffled when they catch sight of this addition to the local livestock. These are llamas, valued by those in the know for their wool, and for much more besides. Paul Rose swapped the life of a London publisher for that of llama breeder back in the mid-1980s. With business expanding, he moved to this former dairy farm nearly 4 years ago. Now his llama herd is a fixture on the local scene.
Come on, come on. Come on, come on.
In their native Peru, llamas are kept as pack animals and for the fine wool fibre they produce. Mountains are their natural habitat, but they seem quite at home here in Britain. Llamas are easy to care for and are very hardy. They do not need shelter and are highly resistant to disease. They also have no special feeding requirements. All they need is a plentiful supply of grass and water. Llamas are popular as pets for those who have the space to keep them. They also enjoy a growing reputation as guard animals, protecting sheep and poultry against predators such as foxes. Some people buy them as companions for horses or other animals. Llama treks are also available for holiday makers. Chris and Joe run llama treks on the south coast of England. They were bitten by the llama bug while on a trekking trip in the United States.
It looks heavy, doesn't it, boy?
It's only 36 pounds.
From their farm on the Dorset coast, it's just a short drive to the cliff tops, where trekkers can pass a few hours taking the air and admiring the view while walking with llamas.
Come on, Dennis.
A babbling brook, country air and a llama by your side. Advocates call it Llama Karma, a route to relaxation and contentment.
And the other side.
It's been likened to swimming with dolphins for its calming effect. And it's the llamas that take the strain. A picnic lunch is part of the deal, and your llama carries it for you, complete with folding tables and chairs.
Fantastic.
Some consider a llama the perfect companion. They're environmentally friendly, as they do less damage than a human footprint on the surface. Children love them, and they've got a special affinity with older people. They're very interested in the scenery and anybody coming by, and it's just nice to be able to walk places without carrying anything. But they're not just good company. Llamas also earn their keep from their wool. Sweaters, rugs, bags, hats. Llama wool is renowned for its warmth. The fibre is soft, luxurious, very strong and very warm. It's a great fibre for garments, and there are about 35 shades of llama wool, from white to black and rich shades of brown and grey in between. The llama is certainly worth a visit in England. Join Latitudes again when we next trek the globe and explore fabulous and exciting holiday destinations. For further information regarding any story on this episode, log on to www.pbtv.com.au. This program is proudly supported by PATA and Always Dive Australia.